anteriormente, nos reunimos mujeres de todas las regiones de Amigos de la Tierra Internacional y de movimientos aliados como la Marcha Mundial de Mujeres, la Vía Campesina, movimientos de afectados por represas, sindicatos, para poder debatir más sobre esto. Este encuentro retomó investigaciones del Programa de Justicia Climática y Energética de la Federación, los debates en torno a si no es feminista o no es justa, que habíamos tenido durante la pandemia, y de ese proceso salió un documento que son los 10 principios claves para una transición energética justa y feminista, que es un documento político, federativo, que expresa una visión colectiva y que busca orientar nuestras luchas a nivel global y, por supuesto, fomentar discusiones como las que vamos a tener ahora. Entonces, voy a pasar rápidamente a nombrar uno por uno, que son 10, con unas bellas ilustraciones que hizo también una compañera, porque creemos que la batalla también es cultural, entonces mostrar las estéticas que construimos del feminismo es importante. Y bueno, como principio número 1, el poder popular feminista y el derecho a la protesta. La transición solo será justa si fortalece la capacidad de los pueblos para organizarse, defenderse y decidir. Hoy en día defender la protesta es también defender las democracias. Next. El principio número 2, poner la vida en el centro a través de la economía feminista. De ahí es algo que aprendimos de las compañeras de la Marcha Mundial de las Mujeres. Se trata de reorganizar la economía en función de la reproducción de la vida, reconociendo la interdependencia, la ecodependencia y los cuidados como base. El tercer principio, next, gracias, es el trabajo digno en economías de transición. La transición debe garantizar empleo decente, seguro, sindicalizado y sin discriminación. El principio número 4 es la soberanía energética, de desprivatización y democratización de la energía. La energía es un derecho, no es una mercancía. Requiere control público y participación real en la toma de decisiones. El principio número 5, que son las energías renovables para desmantelar estructuras coloniales y avanzar en las reparaciones y la restauración. Las energías renovables no pueden reproducir el extractivismo. Necesitamos justicia y reparación con los pueblos históricamente oprimidos. El principio número 6 es el derecho al consentimiento libre, previo e informado, y a decir que no. No hay transición justa sin respeto a la autodeterminación de los pueblos. Decir no a los proyectos extractivos también es un derecho que tenemos conquistados los pueblos. El principio número 7, desmilitarizar los territorios y desmantelar el complejo militar industrial. La militarización siempre acompaña al extractivismo y es incompatible con la democracia. El principio número 8, y ya de a poco, son las finanzas públicas y comercio justo para enfrentar el poder corporativo. Se necesitan reglas globales que limiten el poder del capital transnacional y pongan fin a la captura corporativa. El principio número 9, no a las falsas soluciones. Ayer se habló mucho de esto, pero los mercados de carbono, la ingeniería, los mecanismos red o la minería sin límites no son soluciones para el problema, sino más bien que lo profundizan. Y por último, pero no por eso menos importante, el principio número 10, decolonizar el conocimiento y democratizar la energía. La transición también es una disputa por quién produce el conocimiento y quién accede a la tecnología. Necesitamos justicia tecnológica, transferencia y respeto a los saberes populares e indígenas. Entonces, ¿qué tipo de futuro estamos proponiendo? Para cerrar este panel o esta intervención, quería recuperar una imagen que tiene el título de este panel, que son los rayos de cambio, ¿no? Me gusta pensar que estos rayos son grietas en un sistema que ya no funciona. Son la entrada a pensar de otra forma la energía, la vida y el futuro. Lo que proponemos desde el feminismo popular, desde los movimientos populares que convergemos para pensar este futuro, es que necesitamos una transición que ponga la vida y los cuidados en el centro, que garantice la soberanía energética, que democratice las decisiones, que redistribuya la riqueza y el poder, que repare las injusticias históricas, que proteja a los pueblos indígenas y a quienes defendemos los territorios, y que construya un horizonte donde vivir no sea un privilegio sino un derecho. Porque la transición no es solo una necesidad ambiental, es una oportunidad histórica para transformar el sistema, para construir un mundo más justo, más democrático y más solidario. Y por ahí me quedo. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Gachi. I think that was really brilliant. I love the illustrations as well. Even for those who I think did not have the headphones, they got some of that from the illustrations. I'm going to now come to the irony of a male-dominated panel talking about just feminist transition is not lost on me. But I'm going to invite the rest of our speakers to, when they make their interventions, to reflect a bit on the principles that she has displayed to us. And we're going to now come to Hassan Mehdi to talk a bit about the Bangladesh context of the energy transition, and especially on community ownership of power and of energy. Can we have the presentation? Okay.
Thank you, Varish. First of all, what Mesa said, we have nothing but support her, every word from our core of heart. You know, she already covered all of my points also. So I'm a little bit relieved. So I don't need to focus on every point from my presentation. Next page. This is so what happened in the last 150 years or 200 years? We burn the fossil fuels, coal, gas, petroleum, and we generate electricity. And who are the we? We are the corporate, big masculine companies. Whether it is solely government companies or private companies. Emitted a lot of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, and that cost health, livelihood, our lives. And if you think from the capitalist financial aspect, every unit of electricity generated from coal cost, social and environmental cost is like 4 to 9 cents. Every unit, when you are paying around 7 cents, 8 cents or 12 cents per unit of electricity. Second, that contaminated in our water bodies, in the aquifers, in our atmosphere, and we are affected, and we have to pay the bills to the doctors and clinics, and they made profit, we suffer. That is the socialism of the losses and capitalism of the profits. Despite this growth in last more than 40 years in renewable energy, still 84% of our electricity and energy sources came from the all fossil fuels. Because a lot of the governments are really agents of these companies. They are not our governments, they are actually their governments. Next please. So, next please. I don't need to go. So, here you can see that if you generate 1 unit of electricity from coal, 9.5 cents you have to pay from the society, not for the energy, it's your other costs, which is called external costs. Natural gas or fossil gas, we don't say natural gas, it's fossil gas, 4 cents you have to pay from your own pocket, not for electricity, for your other losses. If you generate renewables, it's less than 1 cent per kilowatt hour. Next. So then we started fighting since early 2000s and then 2010s and 2020s that we need renewable energy. But please remember that renewable energy is not our religion. Our commitment is to the communities, to the environment, to our ecology, to our climate, to our world. Not the renewable energy or not any other technologies. So Then this whole same corporate companies came to our land, grabbed our river, grabbed our canals, grabbed the forest, and started installing solar power, wind power, or other ammonia or hydrogen, whatever it is. So this is wholly profit-oriented structure which gold-plated the whole system. That it is good, it is very attractive, you have to pay for this. So this model actually totally discourages the benefit sharing in the community or participation of the community in the whole system. Then the cheaper or decentralized system in which I can control my own energy sources and I can generate my own energy to consume myself or share with my colleagues or share with my relatives or community. That it totally discourages this system. Next please. So then it started again the grabbing the land, especially the same model, same corporate house, same Adani group, same Samil group, the same names. They are now, like in Bangla you can say, they are now washed by Tulsi Pata. They are very much clean now because they are investing in renewable energy. But in the same way, they are killing you, they are abducting you, they are evacuating you, but in the same way. And they are now threatening our own food system by grabbing our own agricultural lands. Next please. So that's the land impact you know already, water conflict you know, and then come the transition minerals of finance. Where the people from Indonesia or Philippines or any African countries, they are suffering for mining and we are enjoying the lithium ion batteries and the solar panels and the frames and all the things. And the profit goes to a Chinese or an American or a German company, not to your community, not to that African host community. Next. So then, why do you think about the distributed renewable energy? First thing, we can control it at the community level. Nobody is getting the profit from us and not taking money from us to them. The money is circulating in the community, whatever the money. Second is the community ownership, empower the community itself to, that we have control on our own resources. Next. So then, it also increases the democracy among the community. How to take the decision, how to control the resource, how to maintain the system, who is going to do what is going to be done by whom. Next please. So it's actually increased the local market revenue 8 times more than the centralized system. And next please, it's very easy. By promoting, by training, by creating a new generation of community engineers, they can contribute to the broader communities in that way. We call it, so in our organization we call it Solar Sisters, who is contributing to the COP system. We say COP because community owned prosumer energy system. Prosumer means who is production and who is consumer at the same time. So this COP system, they expand the renewable energy to the other regions, other communities also by their own skills. And here is Dipalda. Dipalda is one of the persons who trained this, ladies who train this, our sisters in the communities to be a community engineer for solar energy. Dipalda will talk about that in the next, please. So this is the energy cooperatives. There are 3 models in different countries here. One is the energy cooperative, second is the social enterprise, and third the community trust. But in cooperative models, we experience that due to the social power dynamics, nowadays it doesn't work anymore because the capitalist market system went to totally grassroots level at the household levels. So every time we think about how to clap someone and get profit to get the profit to my side. For that reason, this cooperative system is not working nowadays. In that perspective, community trust or social enterprise may work better in a way. Next, please. So there are phases, different, so how to social mobilization, legal formation, etc. that I am not going to describe. You can see it later also. Next, please. Go. So there should be technical design, which I talked about the solar sisters and some of the organizations like Deepal Bodua, others organization, BZEF, they can support this type of organizations, and if they are in every country, they can train the solar sisters who can maintain their own solar systems and community grids, and they can also expand in other areas and replicate the system to broader communities. Then financial stack, we need like equity grant and green bank, debt, whatever. There should be a financial system in that. Then operation and maintenance, there should be a benefit sharing with the operation maintenance people who is doing it within the community, grids and within the cooperatives. And then we have to think about the future, how to make it sustainable. Next, please. And that is the way true energy security comes, not from the gigawatt hour capacity or a distance power plant, but from the strength, resilience, and sovereignty of the community that owns it. Next. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mehdi. But I think I'm going to ask my colleagues that if we can share these presentations with everyone so that they have this as a resource, because I think we did skip over something in the interest of time, but there's a lot of very useful information in there. I'm going to go to my next speaker, Imran, who is a practitioner. So all that we've been talking about is out there working in the grassroots communities to try and implement some of this. So I want to ask you about your experience with that, especially in terms of empowering women, which is one of the central tenets of your organization. And yeah, just go over your experience. We'll start with that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Imran Ahmed, and I work for Shokti Foundation, and we focus primarily on women, and we focus on 4 pillars. One is the financial inclusion piece through microfinance. Then we have a huge component that is health. So a healthy entrepreneur more than often is a successful entrepreneur as well, right? And then in the last 10 years, we have to focus a lot on climate change. Not that we figured it all out, it's out of necessity, right? Because we work at root levels, we could see what was happening in the root levels, and we have to say, wait, we have to understand what it is. And lastly, it's about women empowerment, but we work with really marginalized communities, right? Sexually abused women, and legal land rights around women, a lot of that, right? So our world literally revolves around the entire life cycle of a woman. Now, today what we are going to talk about particularly is the working age woman piece, what we define as from 18 to 64 typically in our framework. Now, my viewpoint, so I've worked on 2 sides, right? So I've been in the corporate sector, the extreme corporate sector for 12 years of my life, where I have seen profit maximization. And now I am on the other end of the spectrum, right? Absolute 2 extremes. Now, the interesting part is, when you go to the corporate workshops, discussion is very different, right? It's all about success stories. Hey, I made this much money. Next year I want to make that much more money. Shareholder maximization. There are some terms that gets used often, right? But it's primarily given by capital, right? Hence, guess what happened? Our capital markets are boosted in the last 20, 30 years. Crazy. To the point that it has nothing to do with the economies anymore, right? And that's a scary thought. On the other side, our inequality is boosting as well. With all this wealth we are generating, so what? Right? So ultimately, exactly what Mesh said, it had to come from some people, or a lot of people, and plus it comes from the lower income, middle income, which is the vast majority. A classic example for Bangladesh. We finance, microfinance, about over almost 500,000 women. Average loan size is $1,000. There is no insurance concept in Bangladesh. I don't know if you know this. So the elasticity between income, low income to poverty it's very elastic, right? So the economic growth slowdown, which is happening right now, you see a lot of these folks are getting into under the poverty line. Why? Your only protection is savings. That's it. So think about it. In a family, someone gets sick, no insurance, no protection. Boom, you're going to have the quality life. Right? It's that elastic. Crazy. So what we focus on is we focus on savings, because this woman after working age has to retire. Then what? Right? So think about that something. Now, why am I saying, like I'll give you a root level example. Our entrepreneurs, micro-entrepreneurs who are women, they are saving about 50% of the income they're generating. Only, just with Shopee. Forget, like, and that's small. Most of their savings are going to these banks, right? Who are giving these loans against these savings to these large industries, corporations. Guess what? As of last month, 40% of the corporations are at default. So you're taking savings from the mass, giving to the few as investment, and they're defaulting on those investments. It's insane, right? And that's the income inequality, the unjust income inequality. Interestingly, why we are so interested in renewable energy, there is the same, if not more, unjust energy distribution that's happening in Bangladesh as well. Guess who gets the priority on all the energy that's getting produced? It's against the industries, and I'll give you an example, right? The corporations, right? But if you go to Sylhet, the smaller cities, even here, Gazipur, if you roam around, you see these little communities, typically 3 to 4 hours per day, there's no electricity, right? So if you don't have energy, how will you generate income? So again, you are creating a system where by default, you're putting these groups in such disadvantage, it's almost impossible to succeed. And that's what we're fighting for, right? So I can't, it's not my job to think high level, it's not my job to, be a policy maker, but it's my job to push the policy makers at least give this lower middle income, lower income group a fair chance to generate income, to have a decent social life, and that's what we're fighting for. Now, why am I saying this, right? So, think about it this way, that we are in, I'll take an example of Sylhet City. I don't know how folks know about Sylhet, right? So, before we go there, think about it this way. So, we have a meager target of what, 6,000 megawatts of renewable energy production by 2030, right? Right now, we are probably at 2,000, that's it. 1,600, I was told. Let's say in the next 4 years, with all the, and again, guess what? All the solar panel focus right now are on top of industries, who are also prone to shutting down. It's phenomenal, right? That's where the government has given the most tariff reductions. So all the 1% tariffs that we were talking about, it's actually on industries, not on residential and commercial, right? So they are getting the benefits again of tariff reduction and government policies, right? So let's say it's 3,000 megawatts that we need to close. There are multiple ways to close it. Again, my case is to say, give it to the entrepreneurs, to Mech's point. Decentralize. Why are you focusing on these major ones when you can use this to generate another income generating source for these lower income communities that they desperately need? It builds you resilience, it builds you security. It's just a win across the board, and you don't have to spend more money to do this. Right? In fact, you probably gain more revenues from taxes, because these lower income people have more ownership, and that's why they're so successful in what they do. So, these 3,000 megawatts, we have done a calculation. So it takes about 4 watts, right? That's 400 square feet. Those who know in Bangladesh, it's nothing. 400 square, I'll make the case of rooftop solar. 4 watts. That's about what, 16 watt hours per day? Right? Good enough. You can run your refrigerator, microwave, TV, lights, that's it. 4 watts takes only 300 to 400 square feet of rooftop or teen top, which is very popular in Bangladesh. Now, you will get hundreds of thousands of tops like that. But we have calculated that it only takes 750,000 rooftops or teen tops, having 400 square feet of space to solve that problem. That's it. It's nothing for Bangladesh, right? More specifically, I'll give you the case example of Sylhet. In September, Power Development Board, they measure the gap, right? Production versus demand versus supply. There was 25 megawatt of demand in Sylhet City. Sylhet City. Sorry, 40 megawatts. And the PDB could only supply 25 megawatts. That's a gap of 15 megawatts. Guess what? It's only 3,750 houses. That's it. That solves the problem for Sylhet City. We make things so complicated, but really it's actually quite simple. And there is demand because tin tops, as you know, has extreme heat. They capture heat more than others. So like Bangladesh faces extreme heat. It's all interlinked. So and guess where women are mostly staying in Bangladesh? Inside those houses, right? That has health implications. So if they put solar on top, they actually can use fans that can increase their productivity, reduce their health costs. There are multiple marginal benefits. Forget about that. Let's focus on just income. So if you put another 3,750 households, if they set up those 4 watts, and they are allowed, and this is the key part about it, allowed for net metering. You don't even need batteries. It becomes so cheap. So we made a calculation. If these low-income entrepreneurs are blessed with the same playing field, that's all we're asking for, of the industrial ones, a setup cost for that is roughly 1,30,000 taka. That's roughly what, $1,000? That's it. And only from the electricity savings, which is the 8 taka we assumed, they break even at 3 years. And these panels have warranty for 20 years. So it's a no-brainer, easy solution, yet we find ways, and I'm hoping people will, because I can't even fathom why it's so hard to implement, right? So again, my point is, if we make things complex, things are complex. What we know in Bangladesh is our micro-entrepreneurs and our micro-enterprises are the major sources of income generation in this country. In different countries we need. But this is the value proposition we have. And they have tremendous ownership based on the repayment rate, right? It's 97%, which is insane. Let's have faith in them. Through this, let us ensure more stable, secure power generation so that they can generate more income, and then that allows them to do more savings and have more protection and contribute to the community as a whole, right? So that is my very specific root level case that I wanted to happen. And Meche, in your terms, all I'm saying is these guys don't even need the 10 principles. Give us just 2. Principle 4, energy security through decentralization. It's key. In Bangladesh, everyone loves Dhaka, and Chittagong gets some love, but that's it. And then principle 8, access to public finance in a just way. That's all we want. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Imran. Again, last but definitely not least, I'm going to pass to Dipal Bora, who has seen renewable energy in all its stages from the beginning of when it first came to Bangladesh. And we were talking about a lot of very interesting frameworks of ownership models, financing, but the challenges are great that we have to overcome. I would like you to reflect a bit on the challenges that we are facing, and in your opinion, how can we move forward in a more just and equitable and feminist way?
Thank you. I think the very experienced, efficient and distinguished panelists and our audience from the BLR partner and friends on Earth. And I'm listening almost 1 hour in a session, very interesting and question and answer session. So I'd like to explain our experience about the renewable energy experience in Bangladesh, and also we are talking about the energy transition. This is just an energy transition, everybody will love it, but it's very challenging also. Actually, we are discussing so many seminars around the globe, but actually what is happening in the ground level is much more important. In our Bangladesh, you see, there is renewable energy policy recently declared 20% by 2030 and 30% by the 2040. But actually, if you see, only less than 5% we achieved so far, so miles to go. But actually, I'm also part of the Bangladesh Solar and Renewable Association for many years, so I'm very closely related. We see the business also. But actually, if you see, the policy is there, but it's not in action. It's not making things happen in the real life. So that metering, we are love to do it because the rooftop solar can grow and we can save bill. But actually, there's also so many difficulties because we needed approval from the REB or PDB. They don't like to give approval because policy is there, but mindset of their organization, they are not changing because they feel threat. If the solar grow or renewable energy grow, their income will be reduced. At the end of the day, their life will be in problem because everybody wants power, economic surveillance, everything. So in that sense, the policy is there, but actually not implementing. But if you see in detail in net metering, there is a called a charge, wheel charge, or a kind of a meter charge is very high. We are implementing the ground level PV charging station for easy bike. You call it Tesla, but actually it's not profitable because I see very on the ground level. So there is a lot of challenges, what Barish mentioned. And if you see the whole energy sector, including conventional, is still in a challenge because you know a lot of company, bigger company, they are suffering also, and people are suffering. So what are the reasons behind it? Some big company also suffering, and also the people are suffering. The cost is high. And we are talking about the megawatt, 1,000 megawatt we like to create from the solar. But we are involved last 3 decades. I see nowadays if you add more 1,000 megawatt every year from the solar energy, but people are not getting benefit out of it. The electricity bills remains and increasing every year, electricity bill. So what is the benefit out of the renewable energy growing in Bangladesh? So from a very close perspective, I would say we need to think different way because if you have a very good people in the ministry, even in the interim government, good intention, but Bangladesh is a country, I would say, graveyard of good intentions. It's not doing anything, and you know, even in environment ministry or anything, people talking with only the political ministry or anything. So, what is the impact in the ground level? This is very important. That's why I think this kind of discussion and piloting something in the ground level, that will create an example because our friend from Argentina, there are a lot of good ideas, but how to implement it? So we need a mechanism, a process, how to implement it. For Bangladesh, I'm now promoting one concept. If we're producing rice, vegetable, fish, everything, why not electricity? I can produce my own electricity. So given the opportunity, but there is no opportunity because you cannot fit net metering in your house, only in the industry, what you mentioned, only the industrial sector. And so industrial sector, they are not doing it for willingly. They are also compelled because they are not getting regular electricity. So they put a solar energy, but there is a load shedding for 3 hours in the industry. So they have a diesel generator started in the meantime, and they are compiling with the solar energy. So it's not an easy job. Actually, everybody is suffering. And if you go the board of revenue, then you are in danger. So the bad comes in you, and you are in a so peculiar situation. So I think from Bangladesh economic aspect, from conventional energy, renewable energy is important, but how? We are talking about the just energy, transition is important, but we can talk a lot, but it's not happening even in Bangladesh also. So what are these kind of conferences? We can give a concrete recommendation, an example, so that the people, those who have a good heart or they like to do something for the people, they can start 1 or 2 projects and it is benefiting the people, then we can multiply this project in different ways. So we are trying to do it, say, Amar Bidyut Ami Utpadan, I will produce my own electricity. So given a permission, we can put 5 kilowatt or 7 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt at the situation of the family, because income and their ability, they can put it, and they can run the whole household economy, and also they can produce, bring water from the underground or any source of rainwater harvesting, they can do it, and also they can cultivate also the neighboring houses. This is a self-reliant economy and household economy. Then you can reduce a lot of demand from the grid line, because grid line is not sufficient and they can supply to the industry only. So the household level we can do so, and then the question arises how the grid line is not able to absorb all small decentralized produced electricity. So we can design some area, some district in such a way we can do it. But actually everybody only from engineering background they say no, it's not feasible. So this is the one excuses. And I think that we need a overhaul, kind of a change in the system. So we need this kind of, our research is going on and everything is good, but we need a concrete suggestion how to energy transition. I would say people-based transition, but we talk about the rooftop solar many years, 10 years, 15 years, now it's growing, but actually if you go in depth of the study, you see everybody is not benefiting, because they have to pay interest and they have to pay extra money for the approval, and they are suffering. And if you know, in the premier university, where one of our company installed the megawatt system, and they are now bankrupt because they are not getting connection and they are not getting the bill and they are not paying the bill. So I think you see in the practical place it's not progressing. So what Barish mentioned, what are the impediment? Impediment, I think one is the we have done 25 years, 30 years. Now we have knowledge about the solar energy, renewable energy. Now how to implement in the benefit of the poor people, in the benefit of the general people. So that's why we need a policy support. So every household they can produce electricity for themselves. And so government will creating enabling environment, and the technology is available and it will grow. And another mentioned that our young brother mentioned that the training the women, training the young people. So we can train them, and they are able to do it actually. So we can create an RP condition and training, and they become a workforce, and they can maintain. We can hire an engineer, the top level engineer, they can design on it. But day-to-day maintenance, installation, everything that can done by any kind of trained people. So human beings are very creative. We can do that. And now we are also researching another one with the help of Prague University called agrivoltaic. We have done solar irrigation. There are positive sides, there are limitations also. I'm not elaborating because of the time constraint, but this is much better than the, and another one we are doing now, agrivoltaics. So you can put the solar panel, say 10 feet, 11 feet high, and cultivation will get in the shade, and so we are producing electricity and we are producing food, and we are trying to do it under the solar shade. How much we can produce in 1 decimal or 2 decimal, and without solar shade, how much produce we can see. And there will be a lot of research going on, and we can see actually what percentage of production is less under the solar panel or without solar panel. Then in some cases, shade-loving agricultural products also available. So we are doing research on that with the climate scientists, agriculturists, and the engineer. So we are doing it. And if it is successful, we like to create an example through research. Yes, if you put a solar in a design, there is a Japan is doing very well. I visited Japan recently and see they are planning the net zero by any time or another few years. Only 14% to 18% of the land they can have a solar panel, and they can produce no dealing method. So they have less methane. So they are also doing both way, and they are coming in Bangladesh with one ministry that we meeting on 7th. I will be there. So and they will go for a field visit in Manipur, see what we are doing. So we like to develop in a way to improve the agriculture and also the collection of electricity from the community level. So there will be community benefit because the land is owned by the farmer. They will get benefit out of this, and the cultivation also can be done by the farmer. So this is purely community based. So let's hope for the best, but actually I think this kind of discussion, I support this, what she mentioned from their context. In our context, I must say, because we are suffering economically and even for corruption, everything. It's come out of the economy. Actually, Bangladesh economy is suffering from the electricity production and everything. So that we can liberate people from the cost of electricity. There is one step good for us. So I think our experience support the renewable energy, but by the people, but run by the people and enjoy by the people. And so movement can create an enabling environment so that they're benefiting out of it. I think this kind of conference will help to sensitize the government to take a proper progressive policy that benefiting the poor people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to thank all my panelists because, this is a very complex